I normally don't make videos, but I've had so many issues with this car, and now that it's finally fixed, I decided to put this video on the internet to help anybody else who's struggling with the same issue. So if you have a 2007 to 2010 Impala and you're having issues with a message that appears every now and then that says engine hot, turn AC off, this message is also accompanied with a loss of temperature gauge sensing the temperature from the engine, and if it stays on long enough, you'll get a check engine light. If you're having issues with that, then this video is for you. I'm going to show you how I fixed the car. Well, I'm going to tell you how I fixed it. I'm not going to show you because it's way too much work. So I just took the car out for a test drive. My temperature sensor is working finally. The message in the dash is gone. The engine hot, turn AC off. I do have the check engine light on still. It's going to stay on for at least 2 to 3 drive cycles, and then it should come off. I could pull the positive battery terminal off and leave it off for 20 minutes or so, and that'll reset the code, but I just don't feel like dealing with it. So in order to fix this issue, I had to replace 2 parts. I had to replace the engine temperature sensor, which I'm going to show you, and I had to replace the wiring harness. So I'm going to pop the hood. So I'm going to pull the engine cover off to show you guys kind of where the engine temperature sensor is located. So on the right side of the engine, kind of in between your intake filter housing and your engine mount, down here in this little hole, you'll see a little black plug with a cable or a wire that plugs into it. That little black plug is your engine temperature sensor, engine temperature sending unit. And I had to pull that off and put a new one on, and I also had to buy a new wire that plugs into the temperature sensor unit, and I had to splice the new wire into the old wire. So the best way to do this honestly is a complete pain in the butt to do, but what I had to do is I had to disconnect the air filter housing. You just disconnect it by popping these tabs. I had to pull this hose completely off and then move this off to the side. I had to disconnect these 2 hoses here, and I also had to disconnect these hoses are mounted here on a mount. I had to disconnect that just to be able to pull this radiator hose completely out of the way. You see down here there's a heat shield for your exhaust pipe. I had to pull the heat shield off. And then lastly, I had to pull the exhaust pipe off. So you have your catalytic converter, and there's an exhaust pipe that connects to it. There's 3, I believe they're 13 millimeter bolts, or studs rather, that hold that pipe in place. I had to take those 3 13 millimeter studs off. There's 3 back here as well. Pull that pipe completely out, and then I was able to get a 19 millimeter deep well socket onto the engine temperature sensor and pull it off. So if you have a 2007 to 2010 Chevy Impala and you're having issues with the engine hot, check AC, or engine hot, turn AC off, that's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to replace your engine temperature sensor, and you're probably going to have to replace the wire. Like I said, I just bought a new one. I cut and spliced in to the wire and soldered it, and then put heat shrink tubing on it, and then electrical tape. All right.